Good evening, Millbrook CSD family and friends. This is Alden Place Elementary School, their segment of Family University. Tonight's focus is social emotional learning at Alden Place. I'm Tom Lipka, principal at Alden Place Elementary, and we have a very panel of presenters to share with you. So first of all, we have Mrs. Sarah Gonzalez, third grade teacher and a member of our ruler team. And next we have Mrs. Lauren Kelly, our speech pathologist at Alden Place and the Millbrook Middle School. And she is also a member of the Alden Place ruler team. Next, Mrs. Tanya Pulver is also here. She is the Alden Place school psychologist and again, a member of the ruler team at Alden Place. Mrs. Janine Secor is a school monitor and covers the front door, lunch supervision and afternoon recess at Alden Place. She's one of our 4 adults who contribute time to the Kindness Club, along with Mrs. Hartley, Mrs. Pulver, and Mrs. Ursini. Miss Samantha Holzberg joins us also on our panel tonight as Millbrook's District Director of Social Emotional Learning, or SEL. We also welcome Mr. Elliot Garcia for his tech expertise. He's the MCSD Assistant Superintendent for Business and Personnel. I mentioned that a few of us are members of the Alden Place ruler team. Ruler is an SEL program in which 6 of us were trained over the course of the last year. Ruler teaches us to be aware of our emotions, our own emotions, and teaching students how to identify their emotions is a huge step. And tonight we will describe the process and progress at Alden Place. I'll turn it over to Mrs. Pulver.
Hi, so I just wanted to go over what the ruler acronym is about. The first thing we're doing in teaching the kids in ruler is to recognize how they're feeling. And we want them to identify where they are on the mood meter, how pleasant they are, how energized they are. And then we're asking them to understand what's causing that feeling. What made them get that way? Is it something internally? Is it something externally? We also then try to help them come up with words to best describe how they're feeling. And once they describe how they're feeling, we want them to express how they're feeling. And if they're comfortable with that expression, you know, we're trying to teach them it's okay to be in like every different area of emotion. It's just how comfortable you are when you're there. And if you're not comfortable in that emotion, we want you to regulate. So we're trying to give you some strategies and the kids some strategies to go from one emotion to another with specific tools that we're teaching them. As we're talking about emotions, it's how we're feeling at every given moment, and it changes hundreds of times over the course of a day. They're caused by triggers around us and inside of us, and they are present at all times. Again, we're teaching the kids that it's okay to feel an emotion, it's okay to express an emotion, and it's also okay to ask for help if you want to change an emotion. And we do talk to them about positive things can happen under each emotion that you may be feeling, and we just try to let the kids understand that all feelings are okay, and it's okay to label those and get help if you want to change where you are. I'm gonna go over the first slide, which is when you're feeling in the red. Red, you might be angry, you might be frustrated, you might be afraid, anxious, stressed, or maybe just overly concerned about something. If your friend said something that is alarming, you might be in the red, and that's okay. We're here to help you work on those things. One of the good things that could happen in the red, say like if I'm an advocate for animals and I'm really concerned about what's going on, that might be an opportunity for me to be like, you know what? I'm in the red because I'm overly concerned, but it's okay because it's going to help me get to where I want to be, which is helping animals. On to Lauren Kelly.
So I'm going to be discussing the blue quadrant on the mood meter. When you're starting to feel emotions that are in the blue quadrant, you're having low energy and you're a little bit on the lower side of your pleasantness. So you might have feelings that are aligned with being discouraged, maybe disappointed, sad, possibly bored or lonely or depressed. And these are all just adjective descriptors that you could use in this particular quadrant. Obviously, there are many, many more adjectives that could be used in this quadrant. And I know that when we actively are using, as teachers and adults, are using the mood meter ourselves, there are a wide variety of different, words that could fall under this particular category. Again, like, we don't have to always think of this as a negative. There could be something that positive that could come out of you having some of these sorts of emotions. So maybe it might be the appropriate time for you to work on maybe like a detailed project, or maybe work on writing some poetry, a song, something like that, because those emotions start to generate those sorts of feelings, obviously, and then you can put those into words. So it could be a positive out of a negative sort of emotion. I'm going to pass it on to Mrs. Gonzalez.
So I'm in charge of talking about the green quadrant of the mood meter, and that is high pleasantness, but low energy. And some adjectives that could describe this quadrant are calm or safe, relaxed, peaceful. Content is a really good one. In this, if you're feeling some emotions in this quadrant, you might, it might help you to finish some sort of project with a peer. It allows for that kind of social interaction with another person. And it also is a place where you usually have like high productivity, high concentration, and is just a place of, I think, good things coming out of this quadrant. And then I'm gonna send it over to Mr. Lipka with the yellow quadrant.
So in the yellow quadrant, we have high energy and high pleasantness. So let me show you how that looks. All right, but these words: happy, productive, excited, energetic, motivated, and focused, they don't, as Mrs. Kelly mentioned, they don't all apply to necessarily students. A student wouldn't necessarily understand them. And yet, so we'll look for other words that really fit the quadrant. In this yellow quadrant, we want students to know that when they're feeling this emotion, that they can really attack stuff. They can get new things done. They can, it's a good time to connect up with other students because they'll be the ones that drive the party. And so the yellow quadrant is a high energy section. If we move to the next slide, we have all of our quadrants in the mood meter were put on a bulletin board in our hallway outside the office, across from Mrs. Kelly's office, I guess. And you'll see that as you're in the red quadrant up in the upper left, that's high energy, low pleasantness. And the blue, low pleasantness, low energy. In the green, high pleasantness and low energy. And then the yellow, high in both energy and pleasantness. So we worked toward building that skill a little bit with to introduce that to students. And if you go to the next slide. So here we presented to 5th grade and 4th grade and 3rd grade all in one day. It was actually the day that we returned from winter break. And so we got a variety of moods that were out there. Some students really enjoyed coming back to school and were excited. Some were moved into that red area, moved into the blue area, and you'll see that in a few seconds. So as you look at the, think of that mood meter, and we go back a few slides to where we have that list of red. All right, red, and then you'll see angry, blue, disappointed, and sad. And green, safe, calm, relaxed. And yellow, happy, productive. You'll see that what happened is that we set up tables. We go to a couple slides down there. We set up tables then to indicate each mood, and we had students go to the table to reflect that mood. And we gave them choices. as to how to look at that. I'll turn it over to Mrs. Pulver to describe a little bit more of that event.
So each of the students were told that they could identify where they were feeling after we had a presentation to all of them. And then they were given the opportunity to move to one of the 4 tables. When they got to the table, they had a card and they were asked to identify one feeling that would kind of say where they were right then and there. And we gave them some examples. We had an example up and we had an adult at each table. So the kids then identified their feeling and wrote it on a card. They colored the card in with that color for that quadrant. And this is just a quick slide of them. You can see that they're really starting to get what they're doing with emotions. This is the first one we've ever done, so it's all new to them, but they're really starting to understand. So if you want to play the video. What are you guys working on? What are you doing, Destiny?
We are telling our emotions on these cards.
What's it for?
It's for our emotions.
Awesome, thank you. So
what are you guys working? I just wanted to add that when we introduced that, some of the students had already had a little bit of experience with the mood meter, and then some of them, it was their very first time experiencing what it was all about. So I think that I thought it was a great learning experience for all of us in the room, especially the adults. Because we could see that, you know, some of the students, we tried to make sure that they didn't look to a peer and say, oh, I feel red because they feel in the red. When we wanted to make sure that they were identifying their own emotion. And we had to sort through that with certain age groups. But we wanted to make sure that each and every emotion that each of the students was feeling that day, that it was valid, and we wanted them to know that it's okay to feel that emotion at that time.
Yeah, and while we had the students doing that, we had this up on the board just so they had some choices. Like Mrs. Kelly said, we did notice there was a few clicks that would, if one person was sad, then they all decided they were sad. So that's a learning experience for how we do it next time. Now we know we might have to have the kids a little bit more isolated. But they all did a really great job. And if we go to the next slide, we're gonna see this is where they were. It was the last day back from winter. It was the first day back from winter break. So there was a lot of tired. I'm sure they weren't used to getting up so early and catching the bus. There were some that were angry that they had to be back and that their mothers were mad at them in the morning. But there were some that were really happy to be back with their friends. And it was really good to see. And we did, we have this up right now. It's still in the hallway, but we're going to be doing this at least monthly. And we're trying to figure out how we're going to do it. So it's going to be a little bit more a personal emotion rather than a click emotion. And we're going to be able to graph it to see. I mean, it's not going to always be the day after a break. If we do it the first month or the first day of each month, it's going to be different days of the week. And it's going to be interesting to see where the students are. And now we'll go back to Mrs. Gonzalez.
Right, and with the next slide, so we have a lot of different meters going around in the classrooms. We've all been trying to just kind of play around with it and see how it goes. This is Mrs. Carey's example. This is how she's tracking it for the week. They have little individual business cards, I guess, size pieces of paper, and the kids circle which color they're on for that day. And if they can think of a word that is exactly how they're feeling for that day, they write the word down and then they put it in a little voter's box. And then she takes the cards and tallies them up for that day. And that seems to be working. It's part of their morning routine. So they come in, fill out their planners, unpack and fill out their mood meter. Mrs. Kelly is going to talk about another mood meter that happens to be in Mrs. Pasquale's.
So on the next slide, in Mrs. Pasquale's room, she has been using the mood meter, I want to say, for almost 2 years. It's part of what they do. It's part of who they are almost. They do it when they first come in the morning. They do it throughout the day. She's even having them kind of chart it throughout the day. and she's able to kind of address emotions as they're coming up just on the fly. So it really does help her direct, maybe her instruction, how she's gonna like change things up that day. And this is, a little video of her classroom using the mood meter. And I think it's a really good taste of what some of this work is in our classrooms, so.
Hi, my name is Giovanna and I'm in 4th grade. Hi, my name is Brayden and I'm in 4th grade. Hi, my name is Helen and I'm in 4th grade.
Hi, my name is Brian and I am in 5th grade.
Hi, I'm Piper and I'm in 5th grade. Hi, I'm Kira and I'm in 5th grade. We love using our mood meters. We use them every single day.
Help me show how I feel.
Mom, let's show you how it works. First, I decide how I'm feeling. Then I decide where to put my icon. Then I write the time and the word that describes my feelings.
So yeah, that's just one of the. It's okay. That's one of the examples in our classrooms of how it's working. Another example is from Mrs. Hicks' class. This is 5th grade. These students have made individual mood meters on their own desks, and they have put emoji icons on their mood meters. It just really identifies with that particular age group. I think it's a great way to just make it really personal as well. This next example is how they are using the mood meter in their classrooms.
Hello, I am the meter reader. My name is Jeremiah. I'm in 5th grade, and we have a bunch of jobs over here. That's my job right there. I'm where I go around and check where my students are. So like, this one means like angry, and it's basically where the person's angry. This one means sad, basically where the person is sad. This one means excited, means we feel like happy for something. And then this one's calm, chill, yeah. That's my job. My name is Jake, and I'm a 5th grade student. Here at Alden Place, we care about our emotions. We have created our own personal meter readers. To help us build responsibility, we use a penny to change our feelings throughout the day. The meter reader comes around and checks with us and reports to our teacher how we are feeling. It is a great and easy way to express our feelings.
So again, just a different example. And I think it's been really nice that we've had it as a whole school with that introduction, but also that we've just given you just different examples of how each teacher has kind of made it their own, but it's under the same umbrella and the same sort of words that we're using. So I'll pass it over to Mrs. Gonzalez again.
Okay.
She's going to give you another example of how we're using some SEL activities.
Go one more slide. I think they're a little bit out of order. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so another, we don't just do the mood meter here at Alden. We also are using responsive classroom, especially in 3rd grade. I can speak to that. And in responsive classroom, we are hosting a morning meeting every day And in that morning meeting, this is just one of the examples on the slide. There's a fun fact of the day. It has the number of school days somewhere in that fun fact. So on that day in particular, it was the 74th day of school, and we had a little discussion about what it means to resign and how that's not the same thing as retire. There are either a joke or a puzzle of the day, which gets the humor involved in the day, a nice way to start our day on a happy and smiling note. This one happens to be anagrams, which is you're just switching the letters around to make something else. Today we played categories, which is a version of categories without the time. They like that a lot. We take a poll, which helps to get to know each other better. Not only our peers, but from teacher to student and student to teacher. And then there is a video that usually addresses some sort of social emotional topic. And for this one in particular, it had to do with big dreams and what those are and setting them and why they're important as something to strive for and something that is good for all types of things that you want to do within your life. It could be something, when we discussed this site, we had students that said they wanted to be an author, and other students wanted to be a veterinarian. Some of the students wanted to be YouTubers and things like that. So the goals, Olympics, swimmers and things like that. Yeah, there was a lot of different big goals and big dreams that they had, which is just another way, another layer of getting to know you and learning about their social emotional selves. And then going backwards one, I'm gonna pass it over to Mrs. Pulver
Sure.
to the Kindness Club. So sorry.
So Alden Place started their Kindness Club last spring. We typically meet every Thursday from 3:20 to 4:30. All students are welcome. We typically have between 40 and 50 students attending. I think our highest number was 56. It's just a really great time for the kids to be kids, do things that are kind. We try to focus on how can we be kind to our school? What can we do to be kind to our peers and ourselves? And what can we do to show our kindness to the community? So we do a bunch of different things throughout that time. And usually we end it mainly because it's so difficult with parent pickup. We try to give the kids at least 5 or 10 minutes outside on the playground where they're working in cooperative play, and when their parents come, they're begging them not to make them go home. So it's been very positive. Some of the things that we've done to show our appreciation, our kindness for our school, we colored rocks outside in the school. We have made bookmarks that the kids have hidden in books here. So every once in a while, a kid goes home with a book and they get a kindness bookmark. We have also made signs that we put around the building. Some of the things that we've done for each other is Mrs. Secor found this beautiful robot that she cut out. So each student got a robot and it said like, I am kind because, and their peers wrote in the little boxes what made them so special and kind. I think the kids really enjoyed doing that. We did placemats for the seniors. So we called the local senior housing, found out how many seniors they had. The kids all decorated a placemat for the Thanksgiving holiday. And we had them laminated, and a group of kids and I brought them down. It was an amazing experience for everybody. They also made holiday ornaments for their friends and family. We did a pen pal. They wrote letters. Some wrote them to sick children. And some we found, Mrs. Secor found a school in Massachusetts called Alden Elementary. So she contacted them and we are working with them to do a pen pal. The kids are really excited about that. And the last thing that we're starting to do is that the Center for the Prevention of Child Abuse reached out. After the holidays, their pantries are empty and they've got a lot of families that still need things. So the Kindness Club voted and decided they wanted to do that. So we are going to do a food drive for that cause. And now on to Mrs. Secor. Oh, yes, sorry.
Go.
Who are we?
Kindness Club!
What do we do?
Recycle!
That's another thing that we do. We go through the hallways on Thursdays and we collect all the recycling.
Go.
My turn, yeah.
Speaking on Kindness Club, we also are going to do a new bulletin board out in the main entrance that's gonna say, what is kindness? And we will distribute hearts to the children in Kindness Club, and they're gonna describe what kindness is to them, and we're gonna put that up on the bulletin board out there. The students get to interact during Kindness Club with the other students in the school. Usually they only interact with the kids who are in their grade. So being in Kindness Club, they also get to interact with the other older students, maybe younger students, and they just really enjoy it. And now.
It moves to me.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna talk about junior interact and band just for a few minutes. So let me first start out with junior interact. Junior interact is done once or twice a month, 7:45 to 8:30 in the morning by Mrs. Link. And so they've got several projects also, and it gives, again, we get that community approach. We also get the interaction of students with different grade levels, different classrooms, and it's pretty excellent. The projects that they've worked on is that they did the decoration for Pink Out this year. They ran food drive and readathon and collected a large amount of money. I know that there were close to 400 canned goods that we had. They made snowflakes for the NICU at Vassar Hospital and Veterans Day cards. And then looking forward, they're making Valentine's for vets. They're having a pet drive. They do that annually for the SPCA of Dutchess County. They do the advertising for the spring book fair, and a unique one last year that they began due to COVID. Mr. Schmidt is Allison Schmidt, our teacher at Alden Place in Elm Drive. Mr. Schmidt works as a nurse at one of the hospitals down in the city, and so they made cards and such for the doctors and staff at his hospital. They also do Memorial Day cards. And so those are just a few of the projects from Junior Interact. Just a quick comment on band. Band doesn't really seem to fit, except it's a building of the community. You wouldn't think that, but with band, we have 60% of our students in band in grades 4 and 5. And in chorus, similar thing, 75% are in chorus. We did revive many of the concerts last year already. But now we're full swing. We have the concerts. We also have the county competitions with NISMA and all county. And so it's been a really good time to be in band and chorus. And if I could, just want to say also that some more after school projects were ones that I worked out, but they had great turnouts too, whether it's Frisbee golf, Pokemon events, or table tennis. It provided the kids a unique opportunity to build social skills with classmates. And that's the name of the game. So I'll turn it over to Mrs. Pulver.
So once we did the full grade level and the classroom lessons, we still found, and we're always going to find, we still have some kids that have some struggles with their social emotional well-being. Maybe it's they just can't identify the emotion, or that they don't really know the size of the emotion and they're always coming to us for help, or maybe they're not coming to us for help enough. So I do a tier 2 intervention in my office with a smaller group of students where we're really delving into how they're feeling. So for this particular one that you're going to see next, I had the kids come in. They, again, the name of the game, identify what you're feeling right now and try to write it down. If you can't write it down, at least give me a color. They were able to do that. And then we talked about matching your emotions with different scenarios. And I tried to explain to them, like, if I get a B on a test, I might be an A student that's completely devastated by that. But if I get a B on a test and I'm a D student, I'm going to be completely elevated. So we talk about how different scenarios, you can have completely different reactions and why. We also talked about the size of your problem. So if I got a B on a test, but it's only a minor, like the little pop quiz, and I know it's not that big. I don't need to cry about it. I don't need to be so down on myself that I'm going into depression. I just need to say to myself, listen, I can do better. So we talk about where, if you want to go to the next slide, it's got some things of what we actually did with the students. So when they walked in, they're telling me how they feel. We're putting it up on the chart. We're going through some scenarios, and then that's where we're talking about the size of the problem. And you can't see it there, but the higher you go, it tells you this is where you need adult support. Or if you're in the middle, you can probably resolve this on your own. Maybe talk to a friend about it. And when you're in the green, you can deal with this. This is not that huge of a problem. You're gonna get over it. And then we talk about, we have a little toolbox. It's an actual toolbox that has all these different things that the kids can do. And they choose, when I give them a scenario, what they're going to do to help them feel better. So one of the scenarios was, you go to school and a kid says your outfit's ugly. And one of the kids was like, I don't care because I know I have cool outfits. And the other kid was like, I'd probably go in the bathroom and cry. So we just, again, talked about the different reactions and how they can help each other, because some of those in there are talking out with a friend, some are talking out with me, but they got to know who to go to. And that's with this small group. We try to really delve in on that. And then when we ended it, they told me, they each had to tell me a problem that they had in the last week and how they resolved it and how having all these tools, they could better resolve it. So it was a very productive tier 2 lesson.
So within, not just in our classrooms with the whole mood meter and learning about social emotional, we're really building a toolbox of skills that the kids can be using to help themselves within their classrooms and within the school and within their community. So learning about skills like empathy and gratitude and all of those things are really important. So when we are, these Alden Place activities that we have going on, these are all opportunities for the kids to stretch those muscles, I guess you could say. 5th grade does the drama club, so they are really putting themselves out there. They're learning to work together to put on a fantastic show, which happens to be Seussical Musical on March 9th, I believe. Plug that for everybody there. We also have the science fair, and that's grades 3 through 5. Some students are choosing to work individually, some are choosing to work in a pair or a duo, a trio, sorry. And again, that's using those muscles, working together, peer and social interactions, being able to communicate with others and solve problems together. We have the talent show coming up as well. I think that's in February. Field day is also another great opportunity for the kids to work together. And then grade 5 does a basketball 2-on-2 tournament, and I'm not sure when that is, but all of those are activities that the kids really get to use all of the skills that we are helping them to learn through our social emotional learning, through the morning meetings, through the mood meters, just discussing all of those things, because we do want them to realize that it's beyond just the classroom. It goes out into the whole school. And then on the next slide, it also goes out into the community. And we use that by going on field trips, which COVID definitely made us take a back seat to going out. And now we are back out into the community, and it's very exciting. 3rd grade, we have traveled to the library in Millbrook, the Millbrook Public Library, and just walking through town and hearing the conversations and realizing they're part of a larger community. And then we get there, exchange books. Usually we read a book out loud to them and head on back to school. So it's a nice little outing for the day. We went to Thompson Pond, which is in Pine Plains, on a hike. And over there, we learned a little bit about that area and how all the history behind that. We are going to Sharp Reservation in February. That is an awesome field trip where they really do learn how to work together in a group and how to survive in the wilderness. And then we also traveled to the Millbrook Golf Course for a very STEM building field trip where they do stations around the golf course, learning about the water and measuring and all sorts of things that we learn over there. Machinery, thank you. 4th grade has the Broadway trip coming up, and 5th grade has done also library trips to the Millbrook Public Library. They went to an apple farm. and how Cab Burns and they, fourth and fifth grade together are going on the Broadway trip, so. And now, I'm sorry. The next one is a video of our Christmas caroling. So as a building, Alden Place traveled to many stops within town. We went to Elm Drive and sang our way through the hallways over there. And fifth grade actually made it all the way up to Cardinal Hayes and did a nice little song, a few songs for the students there. And this is our video of the caroling. All right, so what's next for SEL? I will turn this one over to Miss Olsberg.
Thank you, Mrs. Gonzalez. So my face may be familiar to many of you, but if not, I am the Supervisor of Student Services. My name is Samantha Holsborg. I oversee SEL in the entire district. In addition to coordinating events for SEL, I support the ruler in our district. I also oversee school counseling, but more importantly for tonight's sake, what's next for social emotional learning? We have Grace Smith House visiting us next week, January 26th, for cyberbullying and bullying. And we also have our Center for Prevention of Child Abuse visiting in February and March. And they will be coming to Alden Place Elementary to present to grade levels on general safety and abuse prevention, and for lesson 2, bullying and digital safety. And I just want to mention that in addition to having Grace Smith House coming and CPCA for cyberbullying and bullying, we also had a very successful turnout last month with investigator Tom Roydel, who presented on internet safety for our children. So though those are our upcoming events for SEL, we will have more in the next coming months. So please stay tuned. Thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you, panel. That was great. So at this time, are there any questions that we would entertain?
Elliot, one question of mine is if people are watching or if they watch in the future, and they had a question, what's the best process?
For our building, just send it to me. That'd be the best.
Okay,
Or Mrs. Pulver, that'd be good too.
okay. If someone's watching right now, would they write it in the chat?
Yeah, we don't have any open questions in the chat or the Q&A section of the webinar.
Okay, okay. I had a couple. So first, I just want to thank you all for being here and for all the activities, the events, activities. There has been a demonstrative increase just in activities and a focus on SEL throughout the district and its building, and it's noticeable. And I thank you. I thank you all. And I know a number of parents wanted to be here, just timing or, busy lives. So they do, if they're not on now, many of them do plan to watch. So it's not in vain. Your work it's meaningful and it's noticeable. So thank you. A couple of things, and I'm not quite sure who should answer this. One probably surrounds the Kindness Club. So maybe you, Mrs. Pulver. I understand the, obviously, we all want everybody in the world to be kind. So, it's almost common sense. Why not start a kindness club? And it seems that there's a huge community service component to that, which is wonderful. My question is more on the individual. How are we measuring, I suppose? How do we know if our children in the building are more kind? You've been doing this for almost a year, and I suppose it's only the children who are attending, which is a good number, but it's a subset.
One of the things I noticed, and this is just the members that are coming to the kindness club, when I've noticed when a new student comes to the district, those kids are gravitating towards the new students and getting them to come into the kindness club. And like coming to me and saying, we can probably show them how to do this, this, and this. It just happened today. That's why it's right on my mind.
Yeah.
So I don't have an actual measure of what it's doing, but I will tell you, and please, Janine, every time we meet, we are noticing more and more positive behaviors. Like I used to, the first few months, have to use my whistle to get them to calm down and listen to me. I don't even have to raise my voice. I just say, kindness kids, come on. And they're right where I need them to be. So I do think it's making an impact.
Absolutely, absolutely it is.
Even out on the playground, when they go out there, like they know the rules now and they're following them without going up against me. Even some of our toughest kids are like, I know, I'm putting my backpack down and I'm not gonna touch it. They're really getting it. And I hear it in the community. I have kids, you know, begging me that, you know, my mom can't drive me home. Can you please arrange something?
I was gonna second that, but I see it like spilling over into the classroom with just things, simple things that you just see a little bit more. So if somebody drops pencils, you see people rushing over to help them. I just saw somebody today, saw a poster that fell down in the hallway, went over, tried to put it up, failed at that, but then came to an adult and said, do you have tape? I could put this back up in the hallway. So I think it's like, I don't know that it's measurable. I just think it's things that you're gonna notice that what happens in kindness club starts to
The actions.
they're generalizing into even people who perhaps aren't at kindness club for one reason or another. Thursdays are too many activities or whatever it is, but I think it's contagious, and I think I have definitely seen a difference in little things.
Good.
So
That's the point, right? That it would,
right,
that it would carry over, and so that's wonderful.
And some of the kids that come, you know, they're not, and not everybody's from the same background. So in this group, they get to talk about things like that too. And I think that makes them grow as a person. And, you know, the kids that might not have access to X, Y, and Z, they have it when they're with us. And we really give that to them. So that kind of builds their self-esteem. So they don't want to beat somebody down. They want to build everybody up.
Have you something to think about? Have you thought about some type of reward system for when you do see these spontaneous actions of?
We have done, we've done some call you being good.
Yeah. I personally have seen some of the kids like willing to pick up things in the lunchroom that aren't necessarily theirs. And I invite them down to the office and I have some pencils and some bookmarks, just little things set aside. And to me, it may be little things, but to them, they absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that. And then the other piece, the other thing I was thinking, just some parents may not even watch this. So they may not understand ruler, or they might watch it and have some questions. In our you know, one of our goals in the district is to have a very tight school to family connection. So how can we go about helping parents to help their children recognize, understand, learn, express, and regulate their emotions?
We put a small blurb in the last newsletter, right? Yes.
Yes, yeah, so newsletter is one way that we could do that, but likely we should be inviting parents in to have meetings and so on. I know when we do a orientation for the next group.
Yeah.
That'll be a big part of what we're doing. So our second graders, when they come over in June, they'll see that.
Cause I was even gonna say, I know a lot of students, they stop in the hallway. I see them stopping in the hallway on a daily basis, just even looking at what's posted on there right now on the mood meter.
Right.
I know from my own personal experience, like my son was home talking about what color he was the next
Good.
day. So there are conversations that are starting to happen, but yes, I agree with you that, you know, it needs to be then like, if my son came home and said, oh, I'm in the yellow, and I had no idea what the yellow means, yes, I can understand that, and I think that's the next kind of piece for us,
Sure.
is to provide a little bit more. This is the first step for us to provide a little bit of that, education, but I think then we're gonna be developing this further then too, so that everybody can understand what does it mean to be
Mhm.
in the yellow or the green or the red, so,
Yeah, this is a first step.
this is our first step was really just identifying and start to really understand what an emotion is.
Mhm.
And then I know like Mrs. Pulver, we're gonna be really starting to work on then like that last piece of the R and the ruler is really trying to like regulate. And if you're not happy with where you are, like, how are you gonna get to somewhere else? And those are the steps that we're gonna be taking in the future with educating our students. So yes, and the home education is gonna be,
Well, I get it.
To be,
You are
yeah.
not responsible for,
no,
you know,
yeah,
educating the children at home, but.
right, no, but just so that everybody's,
Like you said, so the
an
parents know what
awareness.
it means,
Right,
so we're
right,
using the same language.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, yeah, again, thank you tonight for being here, both panel visitors, whether at home or here. And Mr. Garcia for the tech support. And all right, so enjoy the video as it sits on our website. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.